What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 32 of the RUDIS Wrestling Podcast, brought to you as always by RUDIS. Matt, what's going on in Ohio this morning?
Well, we thought this weekend was going to be all about Penn State, Ohio State, which it was, but there was a ton of things that we may have not seen coming that
Yeah.
developed over the course of the weekend. So a
Well,
ton of stuff to talk about.
I want to actually pat myself on the back, um, and I'm going to totally forget about my abysmal Ohio State Penn State prediction because it was terrible. But the one thing I did call, I said to you and Tommy both multiple times on Friday that I felt like we hadn't had enough crazy upsets this year, and there's always something coming that you don't see coming, and I feel like we had a whole bunch of that this week.
In
So
spades.
in
Yeah, I mean
spades,
you
it was
did.
everywhere.
I think I texted you over the weekend like, hey, this is the weekend that you wanted. Is
Yeah, it
actually
was
happening all over the place.
all over, high school, college, everything. Yeah, it was an awesome weekend. So, I think the thing that everybody wants to talk about, or the main thing everybody wants to talk about, is the Ohio State Penn State. So, let's get right into that. I didn't get to stay. I wanted to watch it live. Long story short, I was at RUDIS on Friday. I had to come home Friday night. I did not get to stay for it. I did watch it. I think if you're an Ohio State fan, you're probably really depressed. I think if you're a Penn State fan, you're really jacked up. Um, and if you thought anyone had a chance of beating a Penn State at nationals, you're also probably pretty depressed right now.
I
That
think that's a pretty fair assessment. Do you want to go into the details?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's just start from the top. I think, I think when we did our prediction show, both you, I, and none of us really thought Roman Bravo Young was going to go. Penn State in the past has kind of been more preventative, like, "Hey, let's just kinda give this a little guy a little extra time, maybe more than he needs, rather than rushing people back in," and it's only been 2 weeks since RBY hurt his knee, um, but nevertheless, he's out there. He looked I don't know, he beat Luke Pletcher, who's number 6, but I don't think either one of these guys looked too great if you want my true opinion on it. Neither one of them got close to a takedown really anywhere in the match.
No, no, not at all. I mean, the one thing that based upon your previous comments, normally like Kale will tip his hand a little bit more, and when
Yes.
he's typically when he's more conservative in his pre-match comments, pre-match interviews, when you see him erring on the side of caution, typically you kind of tend to think he's not going, and he wasn't. And he kind of used similar language in the lead up to the match that it didn't seem like Roman Bravo Young was going to go. But then
Definitely
when
did
he
not.
did go, he wasn't wearing a huge brace. He was wearing a sleeve, and it looked like the knee was taped up underneath. But I didn't. We've been hearing that it was like a full blown ACL, and typically when you blow that ACL, you're going to wear
Yep.
a crotch to ankle type brace that's real big and bulky, a la Spencer Lee up
Yep.
until a couple months ago. But we didn't see that from Roman Bravo Young, and from a movement standpoint, it didn't seem like he was limited that much with his movement.
No, his movement looked great. Um, I guess what I was talking about, I was disappointed. I didn't feel like either one of them got very close to a takedown whatsoever. I mean, I know Pletcher isn't known for his offense, but RBY can be kind of dynamic at times, and I feel like they were both pretty conservative. And that was kind of I don't know. I guess that's what I was disappointed in. Maybe it was the pressure of the situation, 1 versus 2. The gym sold out. Maybe that's what it was that got to him.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
could it be that their styles kind of
Oh,
canceled each other's out a little bit?
yeah, I think that's a definite possibility. I guess I just didn't think, when I said I think Pletcher's more defensive. When I think RBY, I don't think of like a positional type guy. I think of more of a dynamic offensive go. And usually those kind of guys make mistakes. They leave themselves open. And Pletcher got in on a couple of double legs, I guess, but didn't really ever come very close to finishing those shots.
No,
Oh, well,
no,
no,
yeah,
I take that back. I take that back. There was the one. What was it? Was it the third period or overtime when he gets him all the way
overtime.
lifted and doesn't
Yeah.
plant him and he gets rolled through? What did he do that? Oh,
I
he
mean, he
had him,
he
huh?
thought he thought that was it. I think he thought he had him dead to rights, and that's a situation I know as a coach you preach no matter what. It doesn't matter if you have the guy all the way up in the air, his feet off the ground, you finish him hard through the mat,
Hard, yes,
hard.
hard. You
And
can't.
it seemed like he decelerated on the way back down, which
Yep.
allowed Roman Bravo Young to get his foot in between his legs and elevate him and roll him through.
Mhm. So then, I guess the one, if there was a questionable thing about this, and you can go watch that double overtime period. So the guy, so Roman Bravo Young is in on Pletcher's legs, and you hear the referee saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's really weird because so I thought he made a stall call silently, and then they kept wrestling, and then he calls him for stalling. So I was like, oh, is he gonna get a point? Like, is that the second stall call? But for some reason, he held the stall call. I don't know what even happened there, because I thought once you got to 5, that was stalling, and then that was it. Do you
Yeah,
know?
it should be. I mean, it's supposed to be automatic there. As soon as you get to 5, you raise your fist up and it's automatic stalling. I haven't seen many referees hold that and almost like, well, am I gonna call it or am I not? I mean,
Eh,
that one should be pretty straightforward. You reach the
yeah.
5 count
And it didn't
and
seem
it's
like the Ohio State arena was going nuts about the call, which I thought they'd be losing their mind about it.
yeah, so
I
I don't know. I don't know if something was going on that was lost in context between the
Yeah,
arena and the television or what was
because
going on, but
when
yeah,
when you're watching, you can't see the referee, can't exactly see what the referee's doing, and then so you I think that, the 5, he got to the 5 count, I think right around 15 seconds, and he lets it go on, and so when he stopped it, it's 8 seconds. It's like, okay, at 8 seconds, what is the freaking point of a stall warning? Because there's only 8 seconds left. The guy's not gonna call another one in the last 8 seconds, you know what I'm saying?
right.
I don't know, so it
It's
seems.
almost like, when refs in situations like that, they make a stall call, like they wanna make the right call, but they don't really wanna put themselves on the line, like they give themselves an out. Like, to your
Yes.
point, he's not gonna call stalling again in less
No.
than 8 seconds. But it's almost like he's saving face in the sense like, "Hey, I called him, I tried to make him wrestle."
Yeah. So I would like to get an explanation from a real referee, an official referee on that one to exactly what happened. Because if you watch it, he counts to 5, and then, yeah, and then no calls made, and it's about a 7-second pause, and then the call is made. Uh, I think either way, I think, that really helps RBY as far as a conference seed. Um, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. He really hadn't had a big win in the conference yet, and 133, we talked about being so deep in the Big Ten. I mean, if I just read through the list real quick, you have number one Mitchick, three DeSanto, four Soriano, six Pletcher, eight Lezak. Um, Number 14, Ben Thornton, 15, Roman Bravo Young. And so, you got with number 19, Dylan Duncan just lost to Jens Lance in Wisconsin yesterday. So, I mean, you're going to have a solid, well, I think 11 ish qualifiers, automatic qualifiers in the Big Ten. So that means it's really tough matchups, even in the quarterfinals, except for the top couple guys.
Yeah. And this time of year, we're mid-February now. So typically at this time you won't see big movements in
No,
the
not at all.
rankings. You won't see Roman Bravo run Young jump from 16 up to top 6 just because he beat Pletcher. I could see him getting up there around 9 or 10 after this
Yeah.
result, but probably not much higher than that.
I mean, I think, yeah, I think not even that high, Matt. When I look at the rankings and you think, Lezak's had some big wins this year. Gomez has had some big wins this year. Ernesti's had some big wins this year. Montorie Bridges, All-American, had some big wins this year. Corbin Myers at number 12. He's had some big wins this year. It's like, how high can you really jump him? I mean, I think Pletcher probably moves down a few spots, but I don't think you can jump RBY too high. Only a couple spots. So, and then you look at the rest of, to your point, you look at the rest of his schedule. He's got Buffalo, Michigan State, Illinois. So he'll have Dylan Duncan, but Dylan Duncan will drop out of the rankings because he lost to Jens Lance. So, he's got to make or break a seat at Big Ten essentially. Well, I take that back because aren't they're seating all 33 wrestlers at the NCAAs this year, correct?
Correct.
So he'll get a seat. He'll get a seat. I just can't guarantee it's going to be that high. If that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes through with a high level performance, top 3, top 4, then he's probably got a top 10 seed at the NCAA tournament. I think he's kind of I don't like when they misplace a loss on injury, like when he lost to Thornton
But he
from
was losing
Purdue.
the match.
No,
He
I
was
thought
lo
he was winning the match.
I don't believe so. I think he was losing at the time
We'll
of,
have to go by I
I'll
might be confused. I kinda thought he was winning the match.
well, I'll look up Purdue wrestling. I bet the media report on them will have it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, because in
Oh,
that case, when someone's winning and they get injured and they're obviously injured and they stop
like the Nolf,
wrestling.
whatchamacallit last year would be the best
Right.
example.
I mean, that's not really a loss. I mean, if the guy in any way
Sure.
could have continued, he would have
But it
continued.
but obviously, you gotta count it as a loss because if they didn't, then anytime you were losing and you didn't wanna have that on
True.
your record, you
True.
just, "Oh, damn, my knee hurts now. I'm outta here."
Yeah.
Okay. I'm scheduled. So let's go. A huge one here, one that we all missed, one that I texted Tommy that we jinxed him because Tommy was making fun of me for my comments last year for when, I said McKenna less I a Tiger, and then right after that, he took off. Well, he lost it this weekend because Nick Lee wore him out, boy.
I mean, Nick Lee has looked really good.
Oh
I
my
mean, we were
God.
we were
Wait, hold
talking
on,
we were
hold on.
talking
Wait, Matt.
okay.
Duh. Oh my God. I just went to Penn State versus, I'm on Purdue's page. I went to the Penn State recap. And the picture when you click on it is Thornton's like bending RBY's knee backwards. Like, why did they choose that as the picture? Oh, that's brutal, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man. Wow. Wow. I can't believe they did that to him. Okay, sorry.
So, yeah, back to the Lee match. I know from a team perspective, I know that we had discussed that Penn State hadn't looked great in the last couple weeks. They've looked good. They've got the job
No,
done, but they've kind of looked by and large kind of like that they were just not quite firing on all cylinders over the
we
last several weeks. But Lee's been a guy, I mean, he's
well,
wrestling at a very high level right
no,
now.
I mean, he lost to Tristan Moran.
He
No,
did. Yeah,
Lee
he
has not
lost.
been great because he lost to Tristan Moran, who, he's number 8, so it's not like he's that low, but it was an upset. He's undefeated. He was undefeated before that, and then he had a really close match with Chad Red. So, um, yeah, I would argue that Lee has not been firing on all cylinders, but he sure was. For him, really the last 2 weeks because he
2
crushed
weeks.
Kanan Store and then beat
Right.
Joey McKenna. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think
But
that
McKenna a week ago, he was, not quite 100%. He was held out of the lineup, so I don't know if there was any lingering effects of.
well, it's sure for me as an outsider. And obviously, I know he didn't wrestle in that one match, but it sure looked like there was effects because he got man, those third period takedowns are bad, Matt. I mean, he almost just fell over on both of them. It was a really he did not look good in that third period, and to what we said, he looked awesome. Uh, Pretty much from last NCAAs until yesterday or 2 days ago, he looked fantastic.
And it could be as much as a slight interruption in making weight week after week. I think a lot of times, I mean, it can be very rigorous to do that week after week, but also there's something to be said with the redundancy of having to step on the scale week after week and interrupting that over a 2 week
Yeah.
course of a 2 week period. If McKenna's weight was just out of whack 2 or 3 pounds, that
Oh
can
yeah.
actually have a significant impact on your performance over the course
Absolutely.
of an entire match. Because he came out looking good, looking strong, um, but he seemed to fade quickly. So it looks like possibly a variety of factors, lingering effects of the injury,
Yeah.
not
So
making weight. Yeah, just and maybe not being at his best for whatever reason,
So
not
yeah,
having a good
so
warm
well,
up.
you know what? I'm even gonna give him a pass on this one. We'll say, I think he'll be. Where are they gonna seed him at Big Tens? Because when you look at Moran beat Lee, that's Lee's only loss. McKenna's only loss is to Nick Lee. I
Lee,
wonder who Mikey Carr's lost to. Mikey Carr from Illinois. I don't think
Well,
he
he was out for a while, right? So I don't
yeah, and he
know.
just beat Moran,
Yeah.
yesterday. So yeah, so I don't know. Let's not get into seeds. That's a different discussion. So yeah, McKenna looked gassed out, not great. Hey, I got an update. Thornton was winning 7-3 at the time of the injury against RBY.
Okay. I
So
stand corrected there.
yep. So yeah, so we should. I mean, I guess we'll have the seeds in about 2 weeks, and we'll be able to discuss them and go over them and all that stuff. 149, very controversial match. A lot of people online complaining about this. Um, I've never seen Jared Verclaren look this good, and I can't decide if he wrestled well or if Micah wrestled poorly. What's your take on that?
I think a combination of both. I don't think Micah looked great, and this is probably going to be a consistent theme throughout our lineup when we're discussing Ohio State. They just didn't seem to have their edge. I
Yeah.
think Micah was working really hard. He's always attacking. He was attacking in this match. He just
hmm
wasn't necessarily converting at the
And he
rate he
got
normally
multiple
does.
stall calls. I mean, he got obviously he got two. He got a warning, a point, and then the controversial last point that I'm sure we'll talk about. So so he was rewarded for Killeran backing up and being more passive. Is that
Which I thought he should have been. I thought that was the
yeah.
correct call. Did you have a problem with that?
No, not at all. I thought Verclaren was being passive. I thought going into the match that his only job was to keep it close. I didn't actually think that he was going to be in it. So, when you see him backing, hey, that's kind of what I expected to see happen. And then he got the takedown in the second period, and then he got another takedown in the third period. And you're like, wow, this isn't Micah trying to get a major. This is a match. I mean, Verclair could win this. And so a final stall call, people are losing their mind. I thought it was warranted. I thought it was
Yeah.
totally warranted. For clearing, pushed him from over halfway across the mat. I mean, they started so far. And the one comment that was really annoying me online is you can't tell who's moving forward or who's doing the pushing and who's moving forward. Yeah, it's really freaking easy. It's really easy. If the top guy, I'm sorry, if the guy on bottom, if his feet are in front of his torso, he can't move forward unless the guy back and behind him is pushing him. Do you
Right.
see what I'm saying? If he's
Yeah.
straight up above, if his feet are right below his torso, now it's probably him moving out of bounds. But if his feet are in front of his
Hey, Ben, I
torso, the
lost you.
back guy is pushing him, and that's the only way he can move forward because the second the back guy pulls, he falls right back down to his butt. I mean, it's for me, that's simple. I don't understand how people are having a hard time watching that and seeing where the forces are coming from. I really don't get it. I think at the end of that segment, Micah realizes that Verclaren's probably gonna get called for stalling, and he kind of stops fighting as hard as he was. But in the beginning, he was fighting really hard, and it's just a leverage thing that the bottom guy can't stop the top guy in that position. And I wish that very specific instance, I wish that would be called more frequently.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a reoccurring thing about, refs really understanding, calling the position or understanding the movements. And I think this is another situation where, they've got to have use better discretion and better understanding when you're talking about certain wrestling positions, especially when you're talking about basic physics, right?
Yes, for
I
real.
mean, that should be a basic level of understanding about,
How
yeah,
yeah, how I mean, you get it, I get it. I don't understand how people are complaining about that. So you're 100 we're on the same page, right?
yeah, same
Okay,
page
same
for sure.
page. Definite
So I
stalling.
think this is a combination of,
Do
you
you
know,
do you agree that that position isn't called frequently enough?
no, I totally agree.
Yeah, I hate it
Yeah.
when they do that. You know
Hey,
who used to do it all the time, they're not as bad? Iowa, that used to be like their go-to move. Let the
go
guy
to
stand up and push him
automatic.
and push him out
Yeah.
of bounds. Oh god.
And you have like at least 2 times
Yeah,
in
before
the
they call you.
past, at least 2 times before they most likely you have a third because after the second one, they'll be like, "Hey, make sure you make an adjustment there. Make sure you look to mat return or rotate or circle back into bounds." So, but on the third one, typically they could grab an ankle, pick it up, drive you out, and then they
Yes.
they show a little diversity there
A
on
little a little diversity.
essentially the same type of action. They just make an adjustment.
But for those of you wondering, it's if the top guy's driving the bottom guy, it's damn near impossible to stop yourself.
Yeah,
It's
you
almost
just can't.
impossible. You can't. So, yeah, that should definitely be called. Okay, anything
Yeah,
else?
I thought this situation was maybe, and I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but it almost seemed like Micah had a little bit more pressure to respond because the outcomes that they thought they were going to have at 33 and 41 didn't go their way.
Yep.
So he maybe even thought, man, I can't just winning. I think he was thinking bonus points going in this, but then he was thinking, well, just a major is probably not going to do it. I might have to even push harder to see if I can get the tech fall or a
Yep.
possible pin. But it seemed like he was definitely pressing a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, and I thought the same thing, and Mikey's he usually has a great gas tank, but the one thing, I'll say he got caught off guard with that Verclairn super duck, which Verclairn has a solid super duck, although it's not a great move. He does it very well.
I mean, the
But
super duck's
Mike
one of those things, Ben, right? Where it's kind of like fool me once
I never
type
been
of thing.
super
It's like,
ducked, Matt, so I couldn't tell you.
yeah.
I think I would've retired. Uh,
But yeah, I mean, it's tricky, especially for a
yeah,
guy from a guy like Verclairn who doesn't do anything at all, and then he
yeah.
throws something out there like that. I think that's some. It's one of those things because I believe he did it the previous week as well, which as a coaching staff at Ohio State, you should say, hey, this guy's going to throw this at you at some point. Be
Yeah.
aware,
Yep,
um,
absolutely.
because he did it the previous week, but also when you're so focused, I think with Micah, he's so focused on moving forward,
Forward,
shooting,
yep.
attacking, scoring points. Sometimes that's where you get suckered into, a gimmicky move like a super duck.
Yeah, agreed. And then he loses the scramble in the third period, which is somewhere we've seen him have issues before. Um, hey, if you're Penn State, do you start Verclairn moving forward? I mean, Berge hasn't really moved the needle. I think Penn State's got to consider the wrestling Verclairn from here on out. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's not like Verclairen's giving you much sense for optimism either.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm
this is
sure this
what
is. I mean, Berge is ranked top 10, correct? So it's
let's
not like
see.
his results have been awful.
Internet has him at 11. He's 14
Okay.
and 2. Um I wish I
I
had
think Bergie's
Verclairen's
been
record right now.
solid. I think he's been solid, but in comparison to the guys above him and below him, or even the other 9 guys in the lineup, he's the one that you kinda look to and just like, well, he doesn't do a lot,
Well,
but
I think the other
he's doing a lot of winning though.
well, I think the other thing you're worried about, so, on that WrestleStat website that we were peeping the other day, they're ranked 18 and 21 is what they are ranked, respectively. But the other thing, Matt, I think you're worried about is I'm sorry, Berge has shown weight cutting issues for sure. I mean, the great example is the Wisconsin match when he took Cole Martin down 3 times in the first period and then lost the match because he had nothing left after the first period. And now you're talking about he's got to make weight twice in a row at the Big Tens. He's got to make weight 3 times in a row at the NCAAs. If make it, you and I both know we've been in this game. If if you're having weight cutting issues, making weight multiple days in a row, that really jacks you up bad,
Really bad.
really bad. So, yeah,
And maybe this is, and, I can't really speak for Penn State right now, but maybe because we haven't heard any conversation that there's an injury in play with Berge, right?
it doesn't seem
Maybe
that way.
yeah, I mean, maybe it's a situation where the coaching staff is saying, "Hey, you need to prove to us over consecutive weeks that your weight is stabilized." Because typically I'm sure they're doing weight checks every single day.
Oh
There's
yeah,
there's a range where you want to be on Monday to Tuesday, Tuesday to Wednesday,
Matt. When
and
you
you
were a
kind of
coach, did you still weight check everyone, or was it just the select few that you knew were kind of when you're coaching a team who your issues are and who aren't your issues, right?
yeah, I mean, I tried to do it every day for every guy, but there were
You
certain
did
guys,
everybody.
yeah, I did
Oh
everybody,
wow.
but there were specific guys. There were certain guys that might slip through the crack, and I'm like, no, I know he's good. I know he's on top fit. but there's
Yeah.
that handful of guys who are like, no matter what, like, hey, where's so and so? Where's so and so? Get him down here. Let's make sure we check his weight. So maybe it's a situation with Bergie. They're saying we're not going to wrestle you or even have a conversation of wrestling you until you prove that you've really stabilized your weight and locked it in where you can perform on multiple days, multiple occasions back to back.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's who knows? So, they keep things quiet. So I would consider wrestling for clear moving forward. He hasn't been great, but he's been consistent. He's going to make weight. And man, if you're thinking about Bergie making weight twice the Big Ten and 3-time NCAAs, I think that's a big question mark. Okay, Nolf Ke-Shawn. I don't think anyone thought this was going to be competitive. It wasn't competitive. I think Nolf is amazing. I don't know that there's too much else to take away from this.
Not a whole lot. I mean, it's kind of what we anticipated. And yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that guy is
Right.
just
Next
he's
topic.
unbelievable. I mean, what
No,
what else what else do we have to say?
that's
Let's
it.
keep moving on. Yeah.
Okay, Vincenzo Tashan. I think another one where we got exactly what was expected.
Yeah, I think on Friday, my one concern with Tayshaun, number one, Vincenzo had majored him the previous year. So even though in many cases, I think people talk about Vincenzo, and he probably doesn't get enough credit for his bonus point output because it seems so dramatically different than Nolf and Nickel. But I think Nolf's up there close to top five as far as bonus points throughout the season.
Are we talking this year
This year,
or ever
yes,
in history?
this year.
Oh, I
I
think he's
think
not. I believe he's number two to Nickel.
is he two? Even
I think
even
so.
ahead of Nolf? I thought he was. I thought
Oh,
it
you said.
went
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. You're right.
Nickel, Nolf, Joseph,
NCAA.
and then Hall was like maybe five or something like that.
Okay, I'm googling it right now. So NCAA
But
most
yeah,
dominant.
so as you're looking it up, I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
So he did bonus Tayshaun last year, and I think that the one comment I made was I was
Oh my
wondering
gosh.
to see how Tayshaun would be. This is only his second time down to weight, and it's been rumored in the past that he had difficulty making it down to 165. So I was concerned. I didn't know how he would recover from a 1 hour weigh in. Being that it was his second time down to weight and how he would turn around and perform. But yeah, Joseph came out, with a lot of activity there
Matt, and you are totally correct. I got the dominant statistics. These are released February 6th, so that's what last week.
last
Um,
week.
and you got Nickel 1, Nolf 2, Chenzo 3, Shakur 4, Marinelli, Rivera, Ashton, Lewis, Valencia, Piccinini. So
Okay.
that's your top 10. Um, yeah, so you were right on.
So
I
it was
wouldn't have.
Rashid, not Hall. Rashid, not Hall. My bad.
Yeah, you wanna hear a funny story? And I don't even remember which one. I was riding the Flow Nationals last year. My kids, I love the fact that they love NCAA wrestling so much, and they were all cutting weight, and they were all grumpy, and they got into this big argument over who stalled more, uh, or who was less offensive, Vincenzo Joseph or Mark Hall, and, um one of them was like,
I
"You're
would,
so
I would,
you're
I,
so dumb. There's no way Mark Hall scores less bonus than Vincenzo Joseph. There's no way. You guys are all so dumb." And then sure enough, Vincenzo was higher than him last year, and he's higher than him again this year. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's hard with the Penn State crew, man, because as good as Vincenzo is, and he's probably gonna be an all timer unless something goes wrong for him. But he's still, like, looked at as below Rutherford, below Nolf, below Nickel, below Taylor, below you know what I'm saying? Like, this and we've talked about this before, the standard they set is just so ridiculously high that it's almost not even fair.
and he doesn't have. I mean, the one things with the Rutherfords, the Nolfs, the Nichols, they have elements of flair to their game
Yes.
that even accentuates how dynamic they actually are. Where a guy like Joseph, there is a beauty in his simplicity. in its simplicity, right? Because
Sure.
we a lot of those guys that are so fundamentally sound that we take it for granted, but that's a beautiful form of wrestling that he executes. It just doesn't there's a not a lot of wow factor,
Well,
but
I'll
just from
take
a
the null for nickel, but I do get your point here, for
yeah,
sure.
I mean, he is so technically sound in every situation that there is beauty in that that a lot of people like for you and I and for the a lot of people that are really really into wrestling, you and I can enjoy a 2-to-1 match. If there's a high
Well,
level of technique. I mean,
yes,
would
sure.
would we
Some of
choose it?
them.
No. I mean, yeah, some of them
Some
the
of them.
yeah, the best technicians in the world, there's beauty
Yeah,
in a 2-1 match, but it's
sure.
but for most people, the casual observer, I mean, you could just roll Bo Nickel out there and say, "Hey, do you know anything about wrestling?" And they may say no, and you'll say, "Hey, watch a clip of this guy, and what do you think?" They're like, "I don't know what he was doing, but that was kind of cool." Where I doubt you could
Ah,
probably say that, with Joseph a whole lot, but I think he's phenomenal as well,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah, absolutely. Hall Smith, I don't think we got any surprises here. What do you think? Skip it?
No, not really. I mean, I kind of the fight that Ethan Smith has been showing all year and the consistency in his performance has been good enough to where he created separation from Tayshawn Campbell, where
Yeah,
Tom Ryan was like, "This is our guy at 174. There's no more
yes.
discussion here." So there
Yeah,
was part
he
of me
wrestles
that
hard. I mean, I will give him that. He's definitely a notch or 2 below the top tier guys. I think he's definitely on the outside looking in if you're talking about an All-American. I think he would be a surprise, and I think from as far as this match was concerned, it's kinda what we expected.
I kind of thought a regular decision might be in play, but
Mhm.
Um, by that time, by the time
Yeah.
174 came about, the freight train was running. I mean,
Yes.
you know, it was running downhill. The train was running downhill, and being a young guy with Ethan Smith in that type of environment, when Penn State gets that type of momentum rolling, man,
Yep.
it's almost impossible to
Yeah.
stop. I mean, you might as well pull a fire extinguisher or call in a bomb threat. When things start going like that, you need something dramatic to change and alter the momentum of the match. And by the time 74 rolled around, it was firmly entrenched.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, 84. I guess you and I are both disappointed. Penn State chooses not to wrestle Shakur after they did wrestle him last week. Manville's is thrown in there kind of like, I don't know, a sheep to the wolves, kind of
Sacrificial lamb. Yeah.
sacrificial lamb. Um, well, I don't know. Maybe they're, you know what someone told me? Did you tell me this? Someone told me Mark Hall has a trouble making weight. I don't remember who told me that. And so maybe they're bumping Mark Hall to 84 next year, and they're moving Mason Manville in at 74. But that Manville's
No,
kind
I
of been
mean, that's
all over the
when
place.
Aaron Brooks would be coming in, right?
Well, I mean, he could redshirt, obviously, right? He could redshirt.
Yeah, I mean, he does have that red shirt available to him, but I think most likely I can't see Hall. I think he's bigger than people think he is. Um,
Who was telling me he can barely make weight?
I think there's people in the office that were talking about that. I don't think
Is that
that's
what it was?
necessarily the case. I think he's a little bit bigger than people give him credit for. If anything, people the prevailing thought is that Mark Hall seems to be fairly small for 174. I
That no,
disagree with that.
listen, whoever I was talking
I
to,
disagree with
this
that.
couldn't have been you. This couldn't have been you then, Matt. Someone I was talking to was very adamant that Mark Hall was having a huge time making weight and it was affecting his motivation and all this. So maybe he's going to go up next year, and that's what we're going to see. We're going to see Manville saying, "Damn it, who was I talking to?" I
I don't know,
told.
but there are some guys out there, and I don't know if you've come across. I've got one that
I'm
that
searching
comes
my
to
text
mind.
now.
Yeah,
Go
that
ahead.
there are some guys that I've coached that they just can't lose
Oh, I
weight.
remember. I remember who it was. I can't say on
Okay,
radio.
let's get back on
I can't
track.
say it. I'll text you later.
Okay, okay,
But they were very adamant that this was the case.
yeah, because I've
So
I've had one specific wrestler in mind where he just he just did not cut weight well, and this
who?
guy was like unbelievable, like an all timer.
Or can you not say his name?
No, I could say it. I don't think he would mind, but
Who's that?
but Tion.
Oh, Tien couldn't cut weight.
He I mean, he was a guy, like, he would come into practice, I'm like, "Hey, T, how's it going?" "Good, good. How's your weight?" "Ah, man, I'm kinda high." Like, what do you mean you're high?" It's like, I'm like 4 over, and we're like a week and a
Ah!
and we're like a week and a half out of competition.
Ah!
And,
Ah!
I
Ah, that's
remember,
true.
I think in, when was it? 2011 when he made the world team, the day of weigh-ins, we were doing his pre-match, and he was getting to weigh in. He was like, "Ah, man," he was kinda sweating it a little bit, and he was literally only a couple 2 pounds over. I'm like, "T, you're good." He's like, "Oh, man, I'm heavy. I'm heavy for the day
Could
before."
he
I'm like,
just not sweat? I mean, there's like I don't sweat that much compared to some people. If you talk like who are the best sweaters? Like John Reeder is notorious for sweating. Mark Ellis was a huge sweater. Jaden Cox, these guys will sweat off 12 pounds in a practice. I mean, I'm like, if I have a good solid practice, it might be 4 or 5, but nothing, abnormal. But there's some of these dudes, they just don't sweat. I mean, it's such a huge difference.
yeah, Tion sweated. He sweated fine. I think it was more, he just literally never cut weight his entire life. I know his true freshman year when they pulled
Yeah,
him
he
midway through the
won.
year, when he won on Saturday morning, he weighed 138 at the NCAA tournament, his
Are
true
you
freshman year.
serious? And you could have been
Yeah,
up to
138.
143?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And so
Wow.
I
I
I
never
mean,
I
he
never
just
realized he was that small.
yeah.
Wow, that's
And
that's that's pretty crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
so that was a case. I don't know if Hall's similar to Tion in the sense where it's not like he's cutting weight, but in most people's minds, in the layman's mind, as far as what weight cutting is, but for
Yeah.
Mark Hall, maybe 5 pounds is significant for him.
Yeah. I was thinking about Tion the other day. Like, man, he was kind of a legend, and I feel like sometimes wrestling forgets about their legends. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he was so good at I don't know if you guys, obviously our crowd probably doesn't remember high school, but he was like a four-time high school state champion, undefeated, won multiple junior national titles. I remember him and Harry Lester had this insane match at the junior duels, which obviously it probably doesn't exist anywhere because stuff wasn't filmed or archived online at that point, but it was 13-12, and it was like the most awesome match ever. Um, sorry, that's a tangent, but Tion Ware was
No,
awesome.
I mean,
I'm a
Tion
big
is.
fan.
I mean, he's a guy. I think I love it when I hear you talk about your guys when you're in the van going to Flow Nationals, and they're into wrestling and they're into the history of wrestling, because I think that's one of the things that's kind of lost. We're so into the here and now, and the here and now is so accessible with Flow and every other media stream
Yeah,
out there, that we forget about the guys like Tion Ware was hands down and one of the best ever. I mean, he was a generational wrestler. I mean,
yes.
he got pulled as a true freshman when that was not commonplace. That was not
Yeah,
commonplace in
no
the
no one
sport of
was doing it
wrestling.
back then.
Not only did he get pulled midway through the year, he wins an NCAA title. Um, the
Yeah,
following year, I believe he herniates discs in his neck midway through the year. He comes back, ends up getting sixth place at the national tournament with no neck. I mean, ruptured discs in his neck. Wins his junior year, believe he gets second his senior year,
yep.
but
Is it 1
I
6
mean
1 2, I believe. Yeah.
he is one of the best, I mean, athletes, just flat out athletes I've ever been around.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
everything. I believe and Tion, I think if Tion had like 3 or 2 to 4 more inches, like he could have been Barry Sanders.
Yeah, he was
Tion
he
was a
was an
guy that
all-state running back at 130 pounds.
yeah, I mean, he set the state rushing record for the state of Oklahoma. I mean,
At a
that's how
hun at
dynamic he
130
is.
pounds.
Yeah, he was just running around, guys. He was getting recruited. He got recruited by several major football programs, and, he was realistic enough. He was like, "Matt," he's like, "I'm 140 pounds." He's like, "I'm athletic as anybody on the field, but
Ah.
I don't think I'm making it to the league going, 5'5", buck 55, right?"
Yeah, seriously. That's funny. Alright, we gotta get back on track. We're not even gonna finish this
Yes.
duel in this episode, man. I mean, um,
Well, I mean, there's not much to talk about at 197
well,
either,
I
right?
mean,
I
I
mean, it was
think, yeah, Tommy called this. I probably should have caught that. I think this is obvious, and I'm an idiot. I don't know.
I think Ben, I think I called it earlier in the week. I think
I
I
think
called
you
it
did,
on
yeah.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah, Colin Moore, terrible matchup for Bo Nickel. Colin Moore, for being as elite of a wrestler as he is, seems to have magnets on his shoulders. Can't get off his back. Uh,
And this is a
Bo might
situation,
pin him every
Ben, right?
time. I
Where
don't know.
yeah, I'm not trying to by no means. Like I had several people bring it up that I'm like, they were like, "Oh man, you called nickel pinning Moore," and I'm like, that was not meant to be a slight on Colin Moore at all. He's a very tough competitor. He's a fighter, but I think this is just a horrible matchup for him. I think you know
Yeah,
Bo
bad
Nickel is
matchup.
so fluid.
I
He's
mean,
so
Bo
fluid
Nickel's a bad matchup for a lot of people, to be fair,
for everybody at this weight class. I think he's a bad matchup. Period.
but especially Colin Moore.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
he's just gonna slip through Moore's cracks every single time and just expose him it's in some way. I mean, this time it was a cradle, next time it could be something else. I just think this
Yep.
is probably a bad, bad matchup for Colin Moore.
Yes. I totally agree. Okay, Kassar kinda hammers on Singletary. I think that was to be expected. I don't think that changes our view of either person. What do you wanna throw in that one? Nothing?
Not not a
Nothing.
lot. I mean,
And
yeah.
then Heinzelman does kind of what we thought Heinzelman, was gonna do, wins, Schnupp stays tough, kinda what we thought Schnupp was gonna do. So, those last cut the last really post well, really just the first 3 were interesting, and then after that, it was kind of almost what we expected, Nolf dominates, Chenzo dominates, Hall dominates, we didn't see Shakur, Nickel pins more, Kassar dominates, and Heinzman wins. So, I
So
think this
let me ask you this.
yeah,
Okay.
give me a you better give me a tough one.
Well, I wanted number 1, your general takeaway, and number 2, what are your talking points moving ahead? If you're in Tom Ryan's position and you're addressing your team, what would you say to them? And if you're Kale addressing his team on Monday, because
Yeah,
you kind of need some separation for a couple days before you give a
yeah.
real assessment of what you think is true from the match. If you're Tom Ryan, what's your assessment? What's your takeaway? And what's your messaging to your
Oh,
team
well,
today?
shoot, it's hard to know where they were mentally going into the duel. So I think to really say something to them, um, I wouldn't know. I would have to know where they were going into the duel. Going out of this duel, it's like I don't think I think I may not even discuss the team portion. I may not say, "Hey, we still have a chance at a national title," because at this point it looks pretty unrealistic. So I might just totally ignore that for a little bit, and I might just more focus on every individual guys getting them back up. Pletcher, hey, we can you can get Pletcher to win that match. McKenna, hey, you could probably get McKenna to win that match. You can be in a little better shape. Micah can create some separation. Um, Guys like that, Colin Moore, I don't know. Maybe, you know, just sell him on the fact that he can get to, he's got to wrestle a tighter match and finish just a couple shots maybe at the end of the match, something like that. Um, but I obviously as a coach going, especially if you thought you were going to win this one, which I think a lot of us did think that Ohio State had a chance, that is so deflating. So I think I might not even really address the situation too much and just, hey, let's just get back on the horse. Let's get back in there. Let's win these last 2 matches. Let's go into Big Tens and let's just focus on each of us individually on what we need to do to be our best. And then, hey, if we could do that, then everything else is going to kind of take care of itself. I don't know. Again,
Yeah, I mean,
without knowing the individuals you have on a team, it's hard to give a perfect thing. But I think that's kind of where I would go with it.
yeah, I mean, you don't wanna do that often, but there are certain occasions, and I think probably once per year, in my experience, where you just get a total outlier. You're feeling good, your
Yeah,
preparation's good, and you just go out and lay an egg.
yeah,
And you can't really make this excuse or use this tactic much, but I think probably one time a year you're like, "Hey guys, just clear the mechanism.
yeah,
Let's forget about that weekend." Obviously, there's got to be some takeaways to your point about
yeah,
what we do, but sometimes
yep,
when the performance is so
Yeah.
dramatically different than what you thought your preparations indicated, because
Yep.
I hadn't heard anything, and not that you're expecting any takeaways leading up to the match, but I mean, you know, from all appearances, Ohio State was like, "No, we're ready to go. We're selling out St. John's, and,
Yep.
we're gonna beat the Nittany Lions." And that didn't that didn't take shape in any capacity, so
None.
I think you're better off at just saying, "Hey, clear the mechanism, let's move on." Let's not get freaked out. Let's not knee
Yep.
jerk here. You know,
Yeah,
what about
I think the amateur move is a knee jerk to say,
right.
"Oh my god, what the hell are you guys doing?" Blah blah blah. Flip out on them. I think that's probably the knee jerk, and I probably every once in a while you need to flip out on people. Every once in a while just to keep them guessing. But if you got a mature group of adults, that's probably not the best idea to get them moving in a positive direction.
Yeah, because
Hey,
really, I mean, yeah. I mean, really, those guys are really good McKenna, you can get that guy's a mature veteran. He's gonna get back on track. He's not gonna
yes,
skip a beat.
yes,
I think the other guys, I think Mike is same way. He's not gonna skip a beat. All these guys, they're experienced, they're veterans, they're mature, and they'll be fine.
yeah, I agree. Um, okay.
What about
If
if
you're
you're
Kale,
Kale? Yeah,
I mean, Kale probably says, "Good job, guys. Wrestled hard. I like it. I'll see you guys on
and
Monday."
Bill Belichick
Yeah.
on to,
I
whoever
I
they
got
wrestle this week, on to
I
Michigan
gotta
State.
I gotta assume it is something like that. I can't imagine Kale getting, every once in a while I see him get jacked up, but it's very, very rare. So, I bet he's excited about RBY's performance. I bet he's excited about Nick Lee's performance. Um, and I
Yeah,
can't
I bet they feel pretty strongly about their peaking phase that's coming
Yeah.
in over the course of the next month.
Yep.
They're probably thinking as a staff, "Okay, we're right where we need to be. We're right where we need to be. Let's stay locked in. Let's keep focused in, and let's keep whatever we're doing, whatever we're talking about to the guys, they're totally buying into it. They're believing it. Let's just keep doing what we're doing."
Absolutely. So, okay, man, we spent a whole episode, and we even a little longer than usual on Ohio State, Penn State. I think that was warranted. That's number one versus number two. Tomorrow, next time when we come back, we have a whole bunch of crazy stuff to talk about. It's going to be kind of all over the place because we got a few really good matches here, a few really good matches there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, Matt, you got any last words for our listeners today?
No, unfortunately, this didn't live up to the billing, but
That
I
happens
think it
sometimes.
will. Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Happens.
So,
So, all right. I will see you guys later. Matt, have a great day.
all right, Ben, take care.